are starting with our talk, we're going to start with a little game. And therefore, I please you to stay back to back.
All right.
Here in the middle of our stage. And you have cards. And I'm going to ask you some questions. And you can answer either with true or false, whatever is actually your opinion about it. So we're going to start. In 2027, the average lifespan of the Fortune 500 companies will be less than either of your age. Do you think this is right or wrong?
Say this is
True.
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 Okay, so true. Actually, according to a study of Innosight, the average lifespan will only be 12 years. So it's true.
Are you younger than 12?
Thank God I just turned 13, so...
So now I'm going to click on the next, and it's apparently not working. Yes? Can someone click on the next slide? So it's true, yes, we all agree on that. The next one. In Berlin, a new startup is founded every 23 hours. Is that right or false? What do you think? False. Okay, let's see. False. So the correct answer is, according to our research, every 14 hours a startup is founded in Berlin. Okay. That's amazing. Who already founded a startup in this room? Perfect. Okay, next one. True or false? 40% of children entering primary school today will ultimately end up working in completely new job types that don't yet exist. What do you think? True or false?
40 or 40 plus?
We say 40 here, but okay. What do you think? It's false.
Oh.
It's false.
Is it?
According to the World Economic Forum, it's 65% of children who will take on new yet unknown job types.
So it's all the 40 and even more.
It's even more, yes. So be ready for that. You don't have to study anything because it won't serve you probably. Next question and last one. In the next decade, it is estimated that over half of the Fortune 500 companies will no longer exist. What do you think? It's true? What about SAP?
We will talk about that.
Okay, so it's good to stay in the room. It's true. Okay. Yeah, so it's actually true. I think this is the perfect hint to our conversation, which you're leading now. And we're really excited to hear more about a future-ready organization like SAP. So the stage is yours. Thanks you very much.
Thank you very much, Laura.
Thank you. I hope you learned a lot.
Well, Juergen, I'm very happy that you didn't beat me. I mean, I was a little bit worried. I think we were both
are good, yeah.
More or less the same. We're here to talk about how might we create future-ready organizations. And of course, SAP is a very interesting example. It's Europe's largest vendor of enterprise software. It was founded in 1972, so it's looking back at some history. And you've gone through ups and downs over all these decades. And for example, I remember in 2008, SAP almost went through a near-death experience. Sales was up, sales were down, morale was down. Somehow you managed to turn over the company. Looking back today, can you tell me maybe 3 main reasons, ingredients, what SAP did back then to really, survive?
Yeah, so SAP is a 47-year young startup. And yes, in 2007, 2008, I was doing my PhD at the Hasso-Plattner Institute in Potsdam. And when we had some distance to SAP, of course, but it was pretty clear, and rumors were out that SAP would not sustain much longer, and so on. And then it took, I would say, very bold leadership decisions. So we established a co-CEO model with Bill McDermott and Jim Hagemann-Snabe. The supervisory board, including Hasso-Plattner, chairman of the supervisory board, was very bold.
One of the founders of the company.
One of the founders of the company was very bold because SAP was one of the, if not the most successful on-premise software enterprise company to that date. But SAP did not have a true cloud footprint And it was clear when you looked at the market that the future will be cloud-focused, and innovation cycles are much, much faster in the cloud. So between 2010 and now, SAP spent something like $70 billion organically building new innovations and buying companies in order to have the best and most complete portfolio when it comes to enterprise applications. So that was a very bold move. So it's not enough to just like sustain on the path where you are, but you have to make dramatic changes. And that, of course, includes change management, changing the workforce, having a different focus on customers, and so on and so on.
So it was a change of leadership, it was a change on the supervisory board, and it was a change of technology, right?
Of technology, of also like clear of the markets that we target. So it was clear that the on-premise market would sustain and you would be an okay company. But then you have to ask yourself, what are the ambitions? Do you want to be an okay company, or do you want to be a great company? And the ambition for SAP, of course, is and will always be to be a great company. And therefore, you have to react on the outside world and what is happening. For example, a shift from on-premise to the cloud. Or then SAP, also very bold, entered a new category, data management, with SAP HANA. So not going into technical details, but we basically reinvented how databases and data management for enterprises work. And that we took as the foundation to also build a new ERP system where we serve 450,000+ customers in their most critical end-to-end processes.
I mean, in theory, this sounds very logical, and you are looking at the marketplace, you see where everybody else is moving, maybe where the young competitors are. But in practice, how do we actually really get such a big change going, you know, in an organization with so many employees and with that history?
Very tough. It's very hard to do. So therefore, it starts on the very top, from a supervisory board to CEO to executive board, and then the direction has to be very clear that things change, because for better or worse, humans always have the tendency to continue doing what we are doing, and we also often think that this is the best way to do things, but often there's many other ways. So here, design thinking was one effort to also like change mindsets within SAP.
So how does that help?
It's basically a structured innovation process, and it also helped to, as I said, we acquired quite a lot of companies to get this outside DNA in and then mingle, because most often like teams are successful where you have experience from the past, and then you have new people joining, and then you have something better that no one else had before.
SAP is going through kind of a restructuring again right now. What would you say, in what kind of state are you right now, and what are the most important things that you need to shift now in order to be still competitive?
Yeah, so SAP, for those of you who like don't know it on a high level or more than the high level name, what we do is we define 4 mega processes. So we help companies run. What does that mean? We support companies with their processes, for example, lead to cash. So I now get to know you, and we have Red Bull here, I'm Red Bull, so all of you see these bottles here, and that might lead to a situation that you're interested in this product. So now, how does that work? You then somehow need to have a structured process to capture that here at Funkhaus, many people might be interested in this product. Then if it's more complex product, and then you have different ways. You have an online store, you can order it, you have marketing campaigns, so you like nurture these leads, they create opportunities, create quotes and orders, and this needs to be shipped and so on. Then it's processes like source to pay. In order to produce this, I need to buy ingredients, I need to plan what are my suppliers, and so on and so on. Also, I need to manufacture this. I need to have the supply chain, manufacturing intact, and so on and so on. And total workforce management is the fourth big process, where it's about full-time employees that want to be hired, want to be onboarded, want to be paid, want to go on vacation, and also contingent workers, which is the largest rising workforce. And here, for example, SAP has roughly 6 million people who are signed up as contingent workers in different businesses. So it needs to be clear what you want to achieve from the top down, and then also it needs to be clear that this change happens. And you asked, where are we now? I think we acquired a lot of companies, and we are seeing that now we need to be like even better, and again, perfectly having these end-to-end processes in mind. Because so far, many companies looked at, hey, what's the best solution for HR? And we provided that. What's the best solution for marketing? We helped them there. What's the best solution for manufacturing? We helped them there. But now, again, we see that this end-to-end view becomes, again, more and more important. And now SAP, again, has been very bold. So we acquired Qualtrics. That's a company that is defining the space of experience management. Because we, again, have to lead the way where things are going. And I think every one of you has these experiences. I live in Charlottenburg, here in Berlin. I have a taxi stand 30 meters away from my house entrance, my flat entrance, but I always use Uber. Why do I use Uber? Because of the better experience. And we will see more and more of that in all parts of our life where customer experience in the end matters. And Qualtrics is the leading company in that space.
The acquisition was kind of pricey. It was $8 billion. Some people criticized that a lot. So how do you decide when it makes sense for a company like yours to build a product on your own? And when does it make sense actually to acquire someone?
Yeah. Both is important. For example, Qualtrics, we already see that paying out now. We started with employee engagement and with customer experience and integrate Qualtrics capabilities in our product. And we see that right away, that these products are now more attractive. So that's a very positive sign. We also want to push building organic innovations. And here, it's always like a mixture of how close is something to your core. I give you an example where we built something organically and where I'm very proud of what we did together at SAP is the area of machine learning. So machine learning, we have a dedicated team. Large part of the team is here in Berlin as well. And we integrate machine learning capabilities into our end-to-end processes, some of those that I explained. And this is something, as we have to integrate this in our core product, there's almost no option to buy that externally because we anyway have to do that work. So therefore here, it makes more sense to build it. Then there's other areas. I stay with machine learning because it's also, of course, a hip topic. We also have to decide, do we build our own machine learning frameworks and tooling and all of this? And here we said, no, we want to partner. So here we use TensorFlow, you can use Jupyter Notebooks, you can use Python.
Owned by Google, right?
It's owned by Google and open sourced. So here we decided to partner because here we didn't see the added value. Why should SAP build yet another framework for building machine learning models? And in other cases, like experience management, you see that the growth rates are super fast and companies are growing quickly, and there will be like a market making move, and we want to be ahead of that, so then we decided to buy.
I see. You just mentioned machine learning, which is a very trendy topic at the moment as well, and everyone is fighting for talent. So how do you make sure at SAP that you get the talent that you need, because you're competing with brands like Google or Amazon that everybody knows, and SAP probably is not that famous?
Yeah, no, that's true. So we have a dedicated and distributed machine learning team. As I said, large part is here in Berlin. We have very good talent. We have very good education, machine learning related education in Germany. Then we do have colleagues in Singapore, because we had a research center there that was also working on these topics, colleagues in Silicon Valley, for example. So we do have a very good machine learning team. And what we saw is that, for example, you take Facebook or others, if you compare where to work, yes, you can go to Facebook and then you are working on, okay, which posting is rated higher, which one do I see first, or where can I blend in advertisement most attractively. Or you can, for example, work on having impact on real companies. And that's why many people say, okay, even if I potentially could earn more somewhere else, it's very fulfilling to work on something where machine learning has real impact.
It would be interesting to have someone from Facebook now sitting next to you arguing with you. So
sure, anytime.
You yourself, you're a technologist. You studied at the Hasso-Plattner Institute here in Potsdam. You used to be the Chief Officer for Innovation at SAP, and now you are the CTO. As a technologist yourself, how do you personally keep up with the newest trends? How do you make sure you don't lose out?
Yeah, of course, I loved coding as well and teaching as well in that area. Time is an issue, so I don't do that anymore. So then, of course, it's much more important to, of course, stay current by reading the news, but then building a great team. I think in any startup company of any size, that's the most important part, building a great team that you can rely on. And then also, now being a CTO and in the executive board, it's a bit unfair, because now, to be honest, it's even easier again.
Why is that?
Why is that? Because I basically can ask anyone for a meeting.
Okay.
So, for example, this morning, some of you know Ada Health, so I talked to the founder of Ada Health. Some of you, and the to-be Dean CEO of the Charité, because healthcare is also a topic that is close to my heart. Yesterday, we had a very good forum with the Plattform Lernende Systeme, that's from the German Bundesregierung. And there's professors and experts from machine learning, so you spend almost a whole day there, and have people from the European Union, have professors from all over Europe coming together. So therefore, in that sense, it's sometimes even a bit easier. Or we even do, thinking back to my Chief Innovation Officer role, even do some experiments on quantum computers, how these kind of optimization problems that we are solving in production planning and supply chain management, how they could be solved on a quantum computer as well.
I see. You just told me that you also changed your habits when you are flying. Can you talk a little bit about that and why you're doing that?
Astrid was asking me also beforehand, so how do you keep up? And I said, okay, also what I did, as I said, time is an issue. So I stopped watching TV in my private life for quite some time now, except some important things I still want to see.
What do you still want to see?
Oh, for example, if there's a soccer world championship,
okay.
I would certainly watch it with friends and so on. But I also stopped watching movies on long distance flights, and my team helps me and downloads me the most important keynotes of partner of SAP that I'm not participating, of partners and of competitors. Because having that edge, you asked for how do companies sustain, especially when you're a bit larger, you need to watch the competition and what the competition is doing. Also, of course, you need to reach out to your customers. But both are a bit biased, of course. Competition is a bit biased, but there you see how they try to attack you. And customers are a bit biased because they are, of course, used to your products. And potentially, they don't even know what is out there. So that's a good combination. And then also spending time with analysts, for example, because they give recommendations to customers when they ask, hey, which software should I buy? And then they say, yeah, either you buy SAP or you buy something else, and they give reasons why. So having this and knowing this is also very important, because then we can align our teams to these facts that we see.
SAP always used to have an arch rival, which makes it very easy for journalists because you can write these nice stories, how you are fighting with each other. In the past, it used to be Oracle, then for some time it was Salesforce. Which is your main competitor that nobody knows of yet?
Yeah, we have overcome some of the competitors, but we still have Salesforce.com as one of the main competitors in the CRM space. And then there's other companies that are up and rising. And this is, of course, one of the things that need to keep you awake. So earlier today, for example, I got an analysis here. This is going on at Oracle, at Salesforce, at Workday, at Microsoft, at AWS, where the latter two, it's very interesting. So they are our customer, we are their customer, we are partners, and we are competitors. So it's also a very multi-dimensional world, and that was also one of the tasks as CTO to sort this out. So where do we partner and where do we compete? And we are very open with that. So we are good friends, but we know that in certain areas we are heavy competition, and no one will shy away, and we will fight for every customer. So that's very interesting as well.
I think we have time for another 2 questions. We talked about that, of course, as a tech company, you still have to change your own technology, and SAP moved from on-premise software to the cloud, from desktop to mobile. Which would you say is the technology that keeps you most preoccupied right now, that will be very formative for the company looking forward into the next 5 to 10 years?
Looking forward, it will be a lot will be deployed on Kubernetes containers. So multi-cloud is a huge topic. Also now having the geopolitical situation in mind. Also,
is there a tech against that, or
sorry?
Is there a tech that you can use to?
Partly. I mean, you have to look at your supply chain, so to say, because you can, for example, now companies in certain regions care about what the influence of other regions is, and whether you can shut those companies down, their cloud system down, for example, and how they would sustain this. So it's very interesting, especially as a European company, of course, with US influence, but also China is our second home. We are really global, which is one of the great things at SAP. So therefore, also here, companies look at us, how to sort this out. And from a technology perspective, yes, containers and so on will make a lot of influence. And I think the biggest game changer is and will be machine learning, because that's really one of the innovation waves that you cannot just miss and cannot jump over. So any company that misses this, I think, will be out of business very soon. And one of the ones where we saw the first question here, or one of the first questions, that will not survive.
I see. I think you are one of the youngest, if not the youngest, board member of a German DAX company. This is very impressive. What was the biggest mistake you made in your career that helped you get where you are today?
Biggest mistake, maybe, so I also raised my hand when the question came up, who founded a company. So when I was 16, 17, we founded a company in the area of web development, and also when I did my civil service in a church, in a kindergarten, I got to know a photographer. And that photographer was the exclusive photographer for German gymnastics. So whenever Germans were at Olympia or World Cup or European Championships, he was there taking photos, and he was the exclusive photographer. And I observed him, and his life was, of course, he had a very good life, but somewhat also miserable, because he had 4 children, and he spent most of his time in front of the computer because people were calling him, asking, hey, I know, Volker, you've been at the World Championship. We want to write an article. We need some pictures of this and that gymnast. And then he was spending hours in front of the computer searching for that instead of spending time with his children. And we helped him building a complete online system of how you would do this, and also sold this to 50-ish other photographers. But there we were so focused on this photographer market we knew that they had challenges, but we didn't look left and right. So, for example, we could have adapted the same for the medical market, which was like rising, but the photographer market was like going down. I mean, having smartphones now, like who needs a professional photographer? So therefore, in the end, it was not really successful or not scaling. So one person could live from it, and it still lives, but that was like a bit of a mistake, not looking left and right and not being open enough to also different inputs, because we were like very, very narrow in our thinking.
So looking left and right, I think that's generally a very good advice in life anyhow. We have time to take questions from the audience, and you can see them as well on Slido. We have them here on the iPad, if that helps you. Why don't we just take the first one? From an end-user perspective, some of SAP's products evolve slowly. What is SAP's approach to leveraging its users in the product design process?
Yeah, here Concur was mentioned. So Concur is, I mentioned, the total workforce management. And when you travel for business, you, of course, do travel expenses. I don't know if Martin Wierzowski is here in the room. He also was presenting at TOR, and he found that even like when the first men went to the moon, they had to have a travel expense form afterwards. So very interesting. And yes, this is also like one part of our processes here. At Concur, the general question is, how do we involve users in our product design process? So we also leverage users, for example, in all our large conferences. We do have design studios and do end-user testing and get feedback from users. So whoever, it's anonymous, whoever wants to contribute and give some input, come to the front after the session, please. I'm happy to involve you as well. And here, one of the good things with Concur, for example, is, so I do my travel expenses, again, more or less myself, because I just open the app, and then I scan an invoice, and we have machine learning in there now, so it recognizes, is it a taxi invoice, is it a hotel invoice, it does like itemization and so on. So things are happening there as well, but I'm happy to get your input on what you're missing on this one.
All right, so just reach out to him after this panel. I like the second question very much. It says, how can you keep the startup vibe within a company as the company grows?
Yeah, keeping the startup vibe. As I said, you have to be close and stay close to your customers. That was very helpful for us always. Also look at the competition, what is going on there. And then what we do have, we established a chief innovation officer. So I was the first one, but now we have a successor. And we created an internal accelerator. What does that mean? It really means that within SAP, you can, it's called sap.io. We have that internal, and we fund external startups as well. So within SAP, you can apply and, so to say, pitch your own startup and get investment money, and then run a startup within SAP as you also would run it outside. And this year, for example, we touch roughly 20,000 of our 100,000 employees who submit ideas and are part of a team who are going through this process. And by doing this, you keep fresh, and you always keep like reiterating and rethinking what you do and what also external investors would spend money for.
I see. Unfortunately, we ran out of time, which is really a pity, because there are lots of still interesting questions here. Thank you very much, Juergen.
And thank you.
If you want to reach out to him afterwards as a customer, please do so. Thank you. Thank you.